if you're selling something and you're saying that something is of a certain quality or good and it's not, there's legal recourse that can be available to you. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Conscious Counsel podcast with your host, Cory Sterling. That's me. I hope that this catches your earbuds well, and wherever you are in the world, that you're having a wonderful week and excited to learn some really fun and interesting legal stories and information. So as always, the reason why I take time to record this podcast is because I want to share information with you that will help you protect and grow your wellness business with both confidence and clarity. As a health and wellness business owner, I understand that you don't think about the law, you don't have experience with the law, and you're too busy working on revenue and marketing and management and leadership and growth and all of these related things to not think about law. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to share a little bit with you about the sort of stories and experiences that I go through with my clients and things that I've gone through over the past 9 years running an online health and wellness law firm for amazing entrepreneurs just like yourself. This week, I want to talk about an interesting concept, something that hasn't come up too much for me in my legal practice, but it's something that I'm going through a really big problem with a client right now, and it has to do with misrepresentations and warranties. And the story that I'm going to tell you is a really, really interesting one. It's one that I haven't had too much experience with, but it's helped shed a lot of light on important legal principles that I want everyone to understand. So the legal issue or the legal question here comes into when a contract is formed, whether it's an oral contract, whether it's a signed contract or anything, and it has to do about the representations, so the things that you say about a product or good that you're selling to somebody else. And at law, there's a concept that's called a misrepresentation, which means that you say something that is not true and maybe you represent it incorrectly. And most importantly, something that's called a false inducement to enter into agreement. And I promise those are the most legal words that I'm going to use, but it'll all make sense. I promise you're going to understand the concept very clearly. But a false inducement to enter into a contract means that you say something to someone in order to get them to make a purchase or enter into a contract or to do something. And whatever you said, you either don't deliver on or is not true. And at law, there's a rule that says if two people are about to enter into agreement and one of them says, hey, and when you sign up for this, you're going to get ABC, or by working with me, you can have faith that I'm a qualified teacher to do ABC. And then the customer purchases the agreement based on that promise, and they find out afterwards that, in fact, you misrepresented the truth. So what you told them was not true, or that you don't have the qualifications, or that you're not able to provide the services to a particular level of quality or goods. In that case, you've made a false inducement to encourage someone to enter into a contract, and the contract would become void and the person would be entitled to a refund. And it's the same with a misrepresentation. So if someone is only going to work with you if they believe that you have certain certifications as a health coach, or you've completed certain courses as a retreat facilitator or as a yoga studio, and in the event that what you told them is not true, then legally you have no legal position. You've made a false inducement and a misrepresentation for them to enter into a contract, and whoever made the purchase by virtue of consumer protection laws is entitled to a refund and all of their money back and damages if suffered. So that's the general legal idea. The legal idea is that you can't tell someone something that's not true in order for them to enter into a contract. There, we got it in super plain English. We understand. So now I'm going to tell you two stories, and they're both going to illustrate this principle. So one of the stories has to do with a client of mine who runs a Pilates studio in Massachusetts, and they were running a Pilates teacher training. And when they were running this teacher training, they had put some information up on their website, which would lead a reasonable person to believe that anyone who was signing up to do the teacher training would receive a certification from a Pilates governing body. Okay, so The interesting thing about health coaching and Pilates and yoga and retreat organization is that the government hasn't created one unified body for all of these different industries, but instead it's smaller organizations that have brand recognition or certain credibility from years in the industry. And someone who's signing up to do a teacher training would want to get a certification that says, for example, I'm a Yoga Alliance teacher, or for example, I'm a Bazi Pilates instructor, so that when they go into the market and look for jobs, the certification they have has a certain weight behind it and credibility behind it. Now, in this situation with my client, the Pilates teacher trainer in Massachusetts, they did not have the necessary certifications. So anyone who was signing up to participate in their Pilates training was not guaranteed to get a certification from one of these certifying bodies, one of these companies, one of these organizations. But the teacher sort of made a few representations that would lead the average person to believe that, in fact, they would be getting that certification. And now it's producing a really, really big problem for my client. And it's a difficult situation that they're in because they're now dealing with the backlash of the students who are in the program. And the way that it happened was one of the students in the program discovered that the training was not actually certified, and that when they completed the course, they would not automatically get the certification with the higher body they thought they would. And as a result of that, a bunch of the students got together and said, we want a refund for everything that we've done with you. And this was egregious and misleading and awful and all of these things. So a really difficult situation. Legally, as a lawyer, firstly, I hopped on a call with my client. The first thing I was like, look, become a Conscious Counsel Plus member. We can chat on WhatsApp. We're going to need a lot of consultations. There's going to be a lot of back and forth. And we've been working through it together. But in respect to my client, they acknowledge that they could have communicated things a lot clearer, and that maybe some of the things that they wrote or put on their website were misleading. And now we're in a position where we don't have perfect legal position, and the students who are asking for a refund do have a legal argument. It's not airtight. It's not 100% versus zero, but it's a strong position based on the facts. And so the first thing we do is we update all of the client's documents for the future Pilates teacher trainings to say, these are our certifications. This is what you're getting. This is what you're not getting. This is what we can do. This is what we cannot do. Cool. So moving forward, it's not an issue. That's what should have been done in the first place, but it wasn't. And it's important for everyone to know that if you're selling something and you're saying that something is of a certain quality or good, and it's not, there's legal recourse that can be available to you. The second situation has to do with a client who sold something to one of their clients in a coaching context, and someone went through the whole coaching program, and then after the whole coaching program was like, no, actually, I want a refund, and initiated a chargeback. And the reason for the chargeback, they said, was when they started working with the coach, they claimed that they were promised that they would get something, which they never got, right? And now here's what's really important. We looked at, in supporting this client, we looked at what was the proposal you sent out to your coaching client. Did that proposal mention anything about the alleged promise that was made? The answer was no. There was nothing about that specific point. Secondly, as the coaching services were going on, the complainant never once said, hey, what about this thing? What about this really, really important thing that you said you were going to give me? They didn't say it for a period of 4 months. They waited until the coaching course was complete. And then afterwards, they said, oh, well, I only signed up to work with you as my coach because you promised me that you would do this. And as a lawyer, this is a home run. It's like someone just like lobbing the ball right in front for us to smash away, because this is how I help my client. I said, well, firstly, the proposal did not mention this particular promise that you allege was made. And if it was so important to you, you would have had it included in the proposal for sure. And B, not only was it not included in the proposal, but you went through the entire program, received all of the services, and then in the end, and through the whole time of working with my client, the coach, you never once mentioned the absence of this thing. If it was so important to you, probably would have been the first thing that you said. And now you're claiming that you want a refund for the services, in which case, obviously, they're not getting and they have no legal position. So I hope that these two stories are helpful to you in the sense that they bring awareness to what can be a misrepresentation. So if you're telling someone that by working with you, they're getting something of a certain standard or a certain quality, and you actually aren't certified or not qualified to give that, then they would have legal recourse against you. It's also a really helpful reminder in the second story of the importance of putting everything in a proposal, getting everyone to sign your agreements, having the agreement specific to the services you offer, the qualifications that you have, and making sure that there's nothing misleading. And that if someone, in fact, is signing up with you for a specific result or with a specific intention, obviously that should be included in a proposal, in the contract, whatever it is. So I hope that this information is helpful for you. This is a story that I went through this week with one of my clients that I'm still going through and still resolving. It's stressful. It's not fun. It's going to be expensive. And the lesson for all of us listening is, cool, do not make a misrepresentation. And if you're going to say something to someone to get them to enter into a contract with you, make sure that you can actually deliver that, or you have the ability to deliver that. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Whatever it is that you do, make sure that you work with a lawyer who loves you. And feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at consciouscounsel and say what's up. And if there's any legal support you need, please know that it makes us so happy to serve you and be of service. Have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for listening.